easiest would be PHP. I mean, Laravel is just a framework in PHP which makes everything. But yeah, I would say vanilla PHP because it's a lot simple. I mean, you just write HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and
Okay, this is a very long one.
what is it?
This question is so long we had to extend the spreadsheet by another 5 columns just to fit it in.
Hopefully, it's not something that I can't answer.
Right, so what is the best advice you can give when trying to infiltrate modern corporate networks? Let's assume they have common Cisco switches and routers, VLANs for network segmentation, Active Directory, and next generation firewalls in a pen test. Out of breath just from reading it.
Okay. I mean, what do you mean by next generation firewalls? I mean, usually firewalls
I
are
have no idea.
most of the times firewalls can be bypassed. I mean, most of the times, not always, but yeah, if you're trying to infiltrate a network, how would I go about it? I don't know, man.
I just want to interject here before you go in. Maybe don't go into specifics here, just like a general
Yeah.
sort of term in case this is somebody asking for help on how to do such a thing, and this is all that's been chosen for a very specific reason.
I wouldn't go into details, but of course, the first thing that you want to do is connect to work, might be through wired, wireless, or whatever that might be. Then start enumerating devices on the network. See if there are any known CVEs or whatever that might be. Also, might want to try out network attack vectors like DNS spoofing, ARP spoofing, that sort of thing, to get your hands on different places in the network. And then after that, it's pretty much, getting into a computer more specifically, and then pivoting from one place to another. And I mean, that's all I got.
Yeah, that sounds like the solid, like the standard framework for any pen test. So
Yeah.
I guess a point you could take away from that is basics are important. And
Hmm.
yeah, as Sinister Matrix just said there, watch out for the network admins. Probably want to stay clear of them. Might not be too happy with that. Would you ever give a talk at a conference?
I would at some point, definitely. Kind of, I mean, I have given one. I mean, not a great conference or anything, just a local one. But apart from that, nothing. But I would love to. But of
Have
course,
you got
it'd be like you gotta let them know about it, and then they go through the process of selecting the correct talk. That's gonna be a difficult one, I guess. I mean, there are a lot of people out there who's gonna be trying to give a talk as well. So me, I wouldn't probably get a first chance like that. But yeah, I
would
would.
you still recommending would you still recommend submitting talks to the call for papers for big conferences, little conferences, whatever size, even if you're not,
Yes,
100% sure that you're going to get in?
I think so. Yes, my answer would be yes, because you would know what's going to happen at any time. So you might be able to get yourself in a place where you could give a talk. But yeah, I think it is yes. Yes is my answer.
Okay. Just want to put in here. Some conferences do lightning talks. So
Mm-hmm.
sign up for the talk on the day. Day can be really good for if you don't necessarily have the confidence, because it's not exactly
Mm-hmm.
as if you can't just not show up to the conference. You're already there, and you just put your name down and go and do it.
Mm.
it
Yeah,
and
yeah, like the 20,
and
10-minute thing.
yeah, and speaking from my own personal experience, they help
Mm-hmm.
massively
Oh, cool.
for anybody who might be looking into that. I'll leave that one for last. Oh, I've already gone over that. I'm starting to run the barrel dry a bit in here. I don't think you can actually say this. You said earlier, but people want to know, where do you work?
Yeah, I can't, I don't know if I could say that.
You can't say that. Okay, I'll turn that into
Yeah.
a better question then. Where would you want to work?
Like, like as a dream job, I think I answered that one. Maybe like in
Yeah.
AR. I want to do. I want to join like Cure 53, if you know. Uh, it's a great pen testing firm. Great people are there, like Mario, um, file descriptor. I think even Live Overflow works there. I'm not sure, but yeah, it's a great pen testing firm. I'm not at that level at the moment, but I would train myself harder, and someday I will get in.
Um. Tobu, I think, just put in the channel that Cure
Yeah,
53
that's the
is
one.
um yeah, cure53.de, the German TLD ending, I think,
Yeah, that's the
if I
one.
remember my countries right. Yeah. Um. How do you see your online career in 5 years? That's quite clearly a manager who's put that question in.
Huh. I think I'd
Starting to feel like an
keep
interview.
making videos. Uh, I'll just keep making videos. Hopefully, I don't think I could, live off of making videos, but I don't want to. I just want to share. That's it. I want to do other work as well, like red teaming and that sort of thing. But online career, mm, I don't know. Maybe I'm just gonna keep making videos. That's pretty much it. I don't see myself as going somewhere else, like great places.
Um. What are some things that you want to look into now? Like, what are you currently interested in? What are you currently learning?
Currently learning. I'm getting into a little bit of browser exploitation and that sort of thing. It's kind of interesting. Um, there are a lot of resources out there these days on browser exploitation and stuff like that. Not necessarily low level, but yeah. Currently, I'm looking at browser security. Also, at the same time, looking at web.
And I guess this will tie in a bit to that. What are your plans for future videos? Will it involve those, or have you got some planned for the people that watch?
Yeah. For now, what I thought was like complete the web security series, so that I could just go over the entire thing. Not the entire thing, of course. There's a billion out there, but like the major ones, the common vulnerabilities that you're gonna find, just those, and then maybe, yeah. You know what? I'm just gonna keep going with the application security. At the same time, here and there, I'm just gonna drop videos on other things like reversing low level or um, might be anything else, like a bit of binary. I suck at binary, by the way.
So you said there was the collaboration video coming out in a couple of days. Any other ones to look out for soon, or?
Yeah, the next one's going to be on XXE, XML external entities with John Hammond. Um, I'm halfway through the video. Maybe another day or two, I'll be done. And hopefully, I get to collab with other people like um, Live, Ginvale, Murmis, other people. Yeah.
I think we're running out of questions here. Oh, no, there's one more now. Have you ever found your own zero exploit or vulnerability? I can't remember which one's the right word for that.
Nope. I don't think so. I know, but I don't know. Like I have currently when I was like doing some research on XXE, I found something a little bit weird with Internet Explorer. I don't know if it's gonna go anywhere, but I would like to do a bit more research on it if it does end up somewhere, or even if it doesn't end up anywhere, I'll just make a video on it. Maybe the one after the XXE is gonna be about it.
If that didn't go anywhere, would that upset you or anything, or is that just how it works?
Uh, yeah, it would kind of be, like, oh man, this is a bummer, it didn't work, that sort of thing. But I'd quickly get over it and start finding maybe even better ones. Like, try harder next time, right?
The trademark OSCP slogan.
Yeah.
And question here: is this the last question?
Is this the last question? I don't know. You're
Unless
the one
there's
who.
unless people have any more questions that they'd like to submit, um, I'm running out of questions. My form has ticks all the way down it, gone over most of everything. So if nobody has anything else, just give them a bit of time to submit if they want to. Oh, we got another one. Is this the last question? Uh,
like this like
like
uh
capitals this time.
like whenever I see that sort of thing, like capital this, or I remember uh like the JavaScript this, because I've had a bad time
This
with
dot,
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
this dot this, and
Yeah,
horrible.
the reference to the current object. Yeah.
Oh, we've got an actual question. Can you make a video about all the resources that you?
uh like all the resources that I use to make a video or to
I
research.
I think that's more research.
Okay. Yeah, maybe, why not? I mean, I
Okay,
just
and
Google stuff, and I have like a notes application where I take notes and stuff like that.
do you have any websites that you would frequent? Like, not necessarily Google, but you might have a look on there
Mm-hmm.
as well.
Yeah. Payload all things. that's what I that's what I got off of my head. And I have like a bunch of blogs bookmarked. I mean, not really bookmarked. There's actually a a plugin or an extension for Google Chrome. It's called Get Toby, and it's more like saving your current tabs as a collection or whatever. And yeah, I have like a lot of blogs in there as kind of like bookmarked that I'm interested in. It involves mostly web security, but does have some low level stuff. I'll share it. I'll share it.
I'm gonna call it here with two more questions. Are you
Mm,
into
all right.
hardware pen testing?
No,
Have you
that's one
ever
of those
done any
things that I don't
hardware?
have any knowledge about. But I do like, seeing Live Overflow's hardware challenges, walkthroughs, and everything. I did learn a little bit, not too much, but one of those things I don't have any knowledge about.
And another video request. Can you make a video on getting started and a kind of plan on how to get into InfoSec?
Um, yeah, okay, I will. I will after I have like a bunch of videos in my schedule So after finishing them, I'll make a video on it.
Might have to wheel out a dartboard soon to try and pick video topics. Just look the other way and throw. What's it going to be this week?
Yeah, like a spinner wheel or something.
Okay, I'm gonna go with one more, and then that's it. I'm putting my foot down, but
Yeah,
since they
it's
were late.
okay.
But um, what's your favorite field within security or pen testing? Uh,
Uh,
and
yeah,
like,
but
what do you think is the most important, maybe? Or because I know you've already said before that you like web security quite a lot, but
yeah,
what's up there for you? Like,
yeah. The first thing again, it's just the application security involving web and mobile applications because I love messing around with uh, web stuff like request response, APIs, that sort of thing. So, yeah, I think the first thing that I love is application security. And then maybe after that, it's going to be um, reverse engineering, maybe a little bit of malware analysis. Not really sure though.
okay, then I think we are done with questions. Checking. Yep, there's none.
All
Um,
right.
you did good,
Oh, thank you. I was
and
nervous.
I'm if you think you were nervous, I did it 2 days, and now I've been given control of the whole ship.
I mean, I
Um,
hope I answered the questions. Um, yeah, hopefully, hopefully I didn't make
and
anyone upset or anything.
no, I think you answered them perfectly. Um,
Oh, all right, cool, good to
oh,
hear.
there's one here saying, "Is there a way to message you? Do you have your DMs open on Discord?"
Hello! Okay, this took way longer than I was hoping it would, but I think we finally have things set up and kind of working. So, let's see here. What do we currently have working? It might actually be worth talking for a minute about what shenaniganeries I had to go through to get all of this routing to work, because while it works, it's less than ideal. So, I am currently, as you can see in the window over here, let's get these moved around a little bit so that we can get our to-do list and everything set up properly. Okay, you can go away. Go away. Go away. Okay, so over here, our lines aren't quite lined up right, are they? I want you just a little bit over, like that. You're gonna go like this, and I want you all the way up here. Okay. So, what are we doing? So that is complete. Okay. Let's see here. So let's actually talk about how this connection is working, because this connection is kind of gross. So we've got, and let's actually draw some boxes here so people can follow this. So we have this box right here. So we've got one box. Why are we doing this? We have one box here. This one is stream box. So this is the machine that I'm currently on and streaming from. Then I've got over here, this is my laptop that should be set up properly to let us actually run Virtualbox inside of it. We're still going to have to test this one out. We may unfortunately have to reboot at least once to get this working. But because of how the laptop is set up, I cannot directly connect from my Streambox to the laptop. And the reason for that is because the laptop doesn't have a hardwired connection, so I'm having to connect through Wi-Fi, and my Wi-Fi router, like most Wi-Fi routers, won't let you route to Wi-Fi connections. It's, I assume, a security thing, but it's at least relatively common in my experience that by default you're not going to be able to route to other wireless targets. So what does this mean? Well, on this machine, we actually have this is the test VM, and this VM is actually what we want to be able to hit, but it's on the laptop. And given that the laptop is connected to the router, the wireless router, as a wireless guest, it means I can't connect to it. What do I do? And the setup we ended up with is the most awful thing I could think of, which is we're just going to use EC2. By which I don't mean I'm running all of this on EC2. I mean that this VM is connecting via SSH to an EC2 instance, and my Streambox, you're done now, and my Streambox is also connecting to the same SSH instance. And we're using port forwarding such that this goes into the EC2 instance, and then we're we're using SSH port forwarding. So on my VM, I'm doing something equivalent to SSH-R 2222 localhost 22 Ubuntu at ec2.com. We're doing something like this, and what that does is it means that on the EC2 instance, if I connect to port 2222, which is what you see me doing right here, it will actually take that connection and forward it over the SSH connection to the VM running on my laptop. So that's how this is set up. And it works. I know, you're probably as surprised as I am. So we have that. However, I do not currently have VirtualBox set up on this. I also don't have X forwarding set up, which means we need to actually back all the way out, and I need to set up X forwarding, don't I? Because what is this thing called? I want VCXserve. This is what I want. Okay, so that started, and we need to actually back all the way out because this is going to let me X forward to that, and then we're going to localhost port 2222. And now here's the trick. Is this going to work? Cannot open display. Crap. So we don't have X forwarding working. Why don't we have X forwarding working? Does X forwarding work this far? Oh, that's too many letters. And so the reason we're doing this is because we need to get what's the word I'm looking for? We need to get the VirtualBox window from the test box all the way through this convoluted tunnel back to my stream machine so we can actually look at it. Now, I could be mean, and I could, every time I have to do something in the user interface, just go over and type on it myself, because the laptop's 2 feet away from me. But for everyone else's benefit, we're going to try and get this set up. Cannot open display. Okay. Are you working? Oh, what's my password on here? Is it that? It is that. I seem to remember we talked about this on a recent stream, that you know, taking a 2-week break from streaming means that remembering passwords is hard. It's not as bad as when I took like a multi-month-long break back in the fall and early winter, but cannot open display. Okay, so I need to set. I'm trying to remember how I do this. I think it's this. Nope. Okay. Because there's something special about WSL. So Because I remember I had to set it to display. It wasn't just display. Oh, is it just display 0? Okay. For some reason, I thought I needed to do a little bit more than that. Nope. That totally worked. Whee! Okay, you can go away now. So, we want to SSH-X to this. Okay, and if we do... How about now? Cannot open. Okay, this should work. Am I using the wrong X? Because I know I've had to set this up to connect to my other machines. Okay. Ah, this is what I want to do, isn't it? So, we still work here locally, yes, yes. Ah, here we go. So the EC2 instance now successfully X forwards. Ah. Okay. Oh, duh. I forgot to actually set it to X forward, didn't I? I've got to say, SSH is kind of magic that this works. That I'm managing to push things all the way across like this. It is one of the things that kind of consistently surprises me when it turns out things like this actually work. Okay, I need to pull down my binaries for it. So I don't want the latest version. We want, okay, I want running 1804, right? Yeah, running Ubuntu 1804. Oh, nope, don't download this here. I'm not sure which version this is, which may end up biting us. So this is 6004, and it's possible we need an older version, given that we want to trigger specific bugs. Where was their stuff? There's a link here. Where's the older versions? Older builds. 6.0 branch. So 6.02 was released on January 15th. This is not what we want. We want this version. And the reason for this is because January 15th was when a whole bunch of the CVEs were released. So January 15th, 2019, I think 25 CVEs for Virtualbox were all released. And the goal here is we're going to actually try and land one of those, and hopefully we're going to, poke around and twist and turn, and we're actually going to eventually land some of the, we're probably going to have to combine multiple CVEs together. But the whole point here is the goal is for us to be able to land on it, which means we need the older version of VirtualBox, so VirtualBox 6.0.0, because this one should actually still be vulnerable to those CVEs. whereas 602 and 604 should both be patched and not vulnerable to the stuff we're hoping to land. Whoa! It would appear that they're they do not have good hosting for their older versions. So Philip, yes, I mean, try and get a working exploit. The idea would be to take. So as far as I've seen, this latest round of CVEs, I haven't spent a ton of time digging into it, but I didn't see for any of the ones I looked at existing write-ups and working exploits for them. All I saw were here are the functions that they're in. And yes, I realize this text is a little bit small right now, but we're going to see if we can do it. What are we doing here? ZDI CVs. Oh. Okay. Apparently, it's weird that ZDI CV does that, but okay. So for these CVs, most of the ones that I'm aware of are all part of this the ZDI disclosures. They look like this for the most part, where the information about it is basically just this function has a bug. Tells us a little bit about it, that there's an integer overflow, and that's it. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to set up this vulnerable VM. We're going to get it built, and then we're going to actually try and, to start with, crash it. We'll move on from there, but once we have a crash working, then we can actually start debugging it and hopefully building out an exploit to actually use. So Suki, the vulnerable VirtualBox is actually on a laptop beside me. It's not on EC2. I'm SSH'd from the laptop to EC2. So this VM that is running, that is capable of running vulnerable VirtualBox, is SSH'd to EC2 with that SSH-R flag. Then from the box I actually stream from, I'm SSHing into the same EC2 instance, and then SSHing from there into the test VM. So we actually go here, and then here. So we actually have a total of 3 connections, I think. One from my Streambox to EC2, or the first one is from the test VM to EC2, then from the Streambox to EC2, and from EC2 to localhost on EC2, which gets forwarded over this SSH connection back to the test VM. I think that's right. I'm pretty sure I'm describing that correctly. But that's what's currently set up. And oh my, are there hosts for this a little slow? Turns out they did not try and make this easy. It's interesting that the older version, I'm getting 100K a second, where the newer version, the current version, I was getting 100 times faster. Oh, no, we just sped up. Ooh. Oh, of course I said something and it slowed down again. For a while, we were going so fast. But yeah, that's the plan. We're going to get this set up. We're going to get it working. And hopefully this stream, well, barring any major issues, this stream, we should have VirtualBox crashing. This slightly out-of-date version of VirtualBox crashing. So while this is running, I'm taking a second. Unfortunately, I am doing it on the actual laptop. I'm trying to make sure that I have it set up already so that I can do the guest stuff. So my day job is a developer. Basically, I write a whole bunch of, right now it's C and Python, but I'm just a developer. the security stuff and streaming is just a hobby for me. It's something that I enjoy doing. I find it a lot of fun to do, but my day-to-day job is mostly just development. Every once in a while, I'll get something exciting where, for one reason or another, I'll get to reverse something or something like that, but they're relatively uncommon, at least. Settings? So we looked at this the last stream on this machine. No, I do not work for Google. As far as I'm aware, the only person doing security stuff, like I'm not aware of anybody doing it like that. No, I've in the past I've talked with them a couple times, but due to various things, I'm pretty happy in the location I'm actually in. So relocation has usually been a what makes it just not going to happen. Because while they do have a lot of remote stuff, it hasn't come up in the way that I actually wanted to do it. So, okay. So, this was the machine we were working on. And I came in here into settings. And where did I turn it? Oh, no, there was a PowerShell. Hyper-V nested virtualization. There's a... Yeah, this is what I want to do. Yes, I unfortunately know that you cannot see what I'm doing right now. Because I am verifying that all of this is going to work once we pull it all down. Oh, there we go. Let me do this real quick. Oh, I need to set the VM name, don't I? My VM name is Ubuntu 18.04.1 LTS. Cannot change the processor functionality of virtual processor now. Oh, okay. We're going to shut this down then. Bye-bye connection. It has been nice knowing you. Turn off. Whoop. And so we should see this connection drop in a second. So it is now set up so that we can do things. We're going to start this. Operation cannot be performed while it is in its current state, which means that my stuff is not set up properly, which means I need to restart this, and we're going to... Oh no, it's going to try and install updates. Well, we may be in for a little bit of a wait here. So Hugo, I'm currently 29. Yeah, there's nothing else I can say about that. I'm currently 29. At this point, I've been... I was actually thinking about it. So Pwn Function was doing his AMA when I was trying to get all of this set up on the Hack the Box Discord. And I'm actually scheduled to do one with them next Thursday, I think. I need to verify that. But I should be doing it next Thursday. And I was thinking through, like, one of the first questions that he got asked was, you know, what's your background? How did you get into all of this? So I was thinking through, like, okay, I assume that's going to be a question I get asked too. I should prepare for this one. I was thinking about it. So, sorry, I am frantically pressing the buttons that will hopefully let me get into my BIOS on the laptop. Am I in the BIOS? I'm not in the BIOS. I will try again when Windows finishes updating. So yes, I did go to college. So back in the long ago, by which I mean 2010, 2011 time frame, I was in college. I actually ended up yes, I am doing this on next Thursday. That is next Thursday, right? Yes, next Thursday. But I went to college and in the 2010, 2011 timeframe, I ended up joining the CTF club on campus. At the time, I was actually a statistics major in college. I was studying statistics, mostly because I'd actually dropped out of the computer science program. There's a long story there. It mostly involves getting in an argument with one of the computer science professors. It didn't go over well. I was actually failing CS 101 twice. I ended up with a 50 in it the first time, dropped it on the last day I could drop it. Tried again my second semester. Exact same thing happened again, and I decided maybe this is just not going to work out. It's not for any, it's not for one of the like normal reasons for it. The first time around, or the second time around, it was actually because I got in an argument with the professor, because as he put it, we were going over the unit on floating point and how if you have two floats, if you have like 1.0 and 1.0 and you add them together, for certain float values, that doesn't equal what you think it should be. It wouldn't be 2.0, it would be 2.0001. And so the reason all of this became an issue and the reason why I ended up dropping out of the CS program, crap, I had it, was because the professor's answer was, oh, that's just a processor bug, and that he hopes in future versions Intel is going to fix that and we're no longer going to have to worry about it. To which I responded, that sounds ridiculous. That can't possibly be correct. Why would they still be doing this after so long? And we went back and forth. I ended up skipping like 6 classes in a row. And eventually I just wasn't a CS student anymore. So this is all a long story to get around to. During my junior year in college, I actually joined the CTF club on campus because I was still very interested in computers and stuff. Come on. I had the menu once. I'm trying to get into the BIOS on the laptop here that none of you can see except for me while I'm telling stories. Anyway, I joined the CTF club, and we actually, I think, if I remember correctly, the first CTF I ever played would have been ICTF 2010. I think that was their like 3rd year or something. It was one of the earlier ones. And turns out that was a lot of fun. It was something that I wanted to continue doing, so I started playing a lot more CTF. I got pretty into it for my entire senior year. There's a, it would be at least somewhat fair to say I almost didn't graduate because I was playing too much CTF. Because I was a very bad student my final year in school. I was spending like probably 8 hours a day playing CTF and working on war games like every single day. And I was also working full time, so the schoolwork and stuff, a lot of it just didn't happen at all. But I did graduate, and I ended up going to work for a massive company. Worked there for 6 years, I think. Most of the time still playing a lot of CTF. And then a couple of years ago, actually a little over 2 years ago, I ended up moving to my current position. And yes, here we go. I don't want this. please select boot device. This is not what I want. How do I? Sorry. Apparently I have failed yet again to get into my BIOS. I know this should work. Like, I'm hitting all of the keys, and one of these should be popping up an option to go into my BIOS and change settings, but whatevers. So yeah, that's the, I guess, long, rambly version of the story, because that's what we're all here, is for me to... Oh, I have a please wait. I think please wait is what I want. Nope. Please wait is giving me the Windows stuff, which is not what I want. Oh, maybe this did, because this is dropping me into the UEFI settings. Ah, here we go. This is what I wanted. So VTX is supported. VTD is enabled. That's weird. Wait, did I just need to reboot and that was all that I needed to do for this to work? That's frustrating if that's the case. Hello, California. We are currently trying to get my laptop to properly enable nested virtualization, which is the part of the stream where nobody can see it, except for me, because computers are hard. Okay, so that is that. Let me get this connection set back up. And once we get our shenaniganery SSH connection set back up, we should hopefully see if this all works. Okay, that was correct password here. I want to load Hyper-V. And you are indeed started. Okay, it looks like it worked. In that I have successfully booted the VM. I have turned on the setting for whatchamacallit. They're like, I don't remember what exactly they call it, but the nested virtualization setting, whatever it's called. Administrator, yes. And I need to go to my history. I want to do show VM. Oh no, it's get VM processor dash VM name. My VM name was Ubuntu 18.04.1 LTS dash expose virtualization extensions. this may be working. What was my... Oh no. Okay, so you are just dead to me, aren't you? So that's that. We're now going to SSH-R2222 localhost 22 or we don't need to do the -x. Ubuntu at 3.9250.211.211. Okay, that set up the VM. So the VM is now set up, so we should be able to do all of our stuff through it. Unfortunately, this connection is dead, but it's not going to disconnect properly. So we want to do SSH-X Ubuntu at 3.9250.211 SSH. Make sure X forwarding is still working. It is not. I want to, because I need to set this. Go to localhost 0. Okay. Before I do anything else, we're gonna fix this permanently so it can stop happening. Okay. So what I just did there is I set the bashrc to automatically set that up so I don't have to worry about it in the future. -x sam at localhost port 2222. Cannot resolve. Oh. Is everything set up right? Are you going to work for me? Are you going to make me sad? It's possible you're just going to make me sad, isn't it? Oh, port forwarding failed for listen port. Interesting. Ah, there we go. I think the connection is still like half open and that's why it wasn't working. I'm gonna claim that's the case. So somebody told me the other stream that I could get apt install a Debian package. Apt install. Oh, I just do apt install. Okay. And that because I'm using apt, it will go out and fetch things for me. And that through the magic of technology, it'll just work. Okay. This is exciting. I hope this is working. So this should be installing VirtualBox in the VM that we can actually do our analysis on. For anybody who's curious, if you remember back, oh geez, it's been a year and a half now. We did a series of streams on a Intel processor bug. It was one of the caching bugs that cropped up. There were a whole bunch of these bugs that cropped up over the past 2 years. One of the first ones that came around, though, was this weird Intel bug where you actually ended up with different... to remember the specifics of it, you ended up in certain caching situations, just the program counter in the wrong spot. I don't think we ever fully got it working in a general case, but the the laptop that we're using to do this testing is actually the same laptop we did all of that testing on too. So if you're interested, you can go back in the stream archive, and there's probably about 10 hours worth of me fiddling around trying to trigger this processor bug and get it to actually land properly, which was quite interesting to do. I found it pretty enjoyable working on, and I was super happy when we managed to trigger it, and then trigger it under not just the control scenario that it originally happened in. Because if I remember correctly, it was they originally found it in like Haskell or one of those functional languages. Their compiler was triggering it and their compiler was crashing. And they went back and forth with Intel. They eventually found out that no, it wasn't their fault. It was a processor bug causing it, where in certain hyperthreading situations, I think we determined that one of the registers wasn't ending up resetting properly, or something like that. But this is the same machine we were doing all that testing on. Come on. You're so close to being finished. By finished, I mean finished installing. While we're at this, desktop. Oh, no, I don't want to show in folder. I want go to downloads. I want to copy link, cancel. I'm going to pop up another one of these, unless, like, as soon as I say that, you're going to finish, aren't you? Yep, you're just going to finish right now. Because I was thinking we would go and we'd pull down the ISO while we were at it, but it looks like this is just about done and we won't need to do that. And of course I just said that, so of course it's going to stall for another minute. Why wouldn't you try and prove me wrong, computer? It's what you're good at. We're so close. It's even told us we're already done. Okay. Okay. Let's pull this down. Copy link. Are you gonna load for me? We've got something loading. Hey, look at that. We have something that looks surprisingly like Virtualbox. Awesome. Wow, this is actually way more responsive than I was expecting. Like, given that we're going through like 2 different SSH tunnels and X forwarding, this is not as crazy slow as I was expecting it to be. Like, it's still not something that's fun to use because I'm able to go like Click. Now I can type. Click. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, I don't want Windows. No! I mean, I want Windows. I'm quite happy using Windows for most stuff, but I don't want to use Windows for... I want to install a... I just want to install a VM. Please let me click a few more times so I can stop clicking. Come on. There we are. Linux. There we go. No, XES is just a very simple X application. Let's go to a little bit more RAM than this. It's a very simple X application that I'm using just to verify that the X forwarding was working in the first place. I don't think we actually needed to do... We didn't need to use XES or anything else, or XIs. Like, it's just a test. It's similar to like using Xcalc. It's just I don't, off the top of my head, remember what Xcalc comes in. Whereas XIs is a thing that also works. And it also verifies the mouse pointer stuff is working at the same time. Let's give you 20 gigabytes. Well, you look at that. So that's that. We now need to mount that ISO. Come on, I believe in you. Settings. As you can see, while I'm saying it's responsive, like it's more responsive than I was expecting, but that still does not mean performance is good. Like it's only a little bit painful to use. It's kind of like, I think the good metaphor is it's kind of like, you know, jabbing yourself with a thumbtack as opposed to like sawing off your leg with a rusty saw. So, you know, not bad for X forwarding. I don't want that. I want this. We have to wait a few more minutes, or, you know, a few more seconds, hopefully. 93%, 94%, 95%. We're watching this percentage click up right here. 6, 7, 8, 9. Done! Okay. We want you. Okay. Now we should be able to start you. So this is the point where we failed last stream. Was we got about this far, and then we failed because we couldn't get anything to boot properly. But this looks good. This looks promising. I need to stop saying that, don't I? Like, I need to stop. We're just going to sit here and wait. We're not going to jinx anything until it comes up with a little prompt where I can click buttons and start installing. Right? You're going to come up with that prompt, aren't you? Come on. You're so close to working. Ooh, the preview was working. So we can see in the preview here that we have things working. Why are you not giving me the same thing? Oh, there we go. No, no. Oh, crap. And of course, I managed to click the wrong button. Okay, well, I guess we're sitting through this again. But we know it works. This is better than I was expecting. Like, we know this actually works. Well, works may be a strong term, but we know that this will actually do something. Yeah, we can boot. I want to install. Doo-doot, 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 doo-doot. You said to install, right? Now, this is kind of painful right now, but once we get this installed properly, we're going to set up SSH, and we'll be able to actually SSH into it, and performance should be at least a little bit better. Continue. Continue. We don't need updates. Yep. Continue. Continue. My name. My password. Okay, you're going to start installing now, aren't you? So let's put you over here. You're going to come down here so we can watch you install. Is that not my password? So while we're waiting, we're going to play what is quite possibly one of my favorite games out of the Ubuntu repo, which is a old roguelike. And by old, I mean it's been under continuous development for the past 30 years or something crazy like that. One of the many things I like about it, is this actually the version we want to install? Ooh, we have Tome. I think I'd prefer to play Tome. Okay. We're apparently now a gaming stream. That's what I'm going with. You gonna load for me? No, you're not gonna load for me, are you? That's unfortunate. Oh, no, you did load for me. Look at that. Okay. We want a new character, player, sure. Random. What do we actually want to play today? Oh, an error has occurred during virtual machine execution. Disk full? The host's disk is full. Crap. Okay. Okay. So let's fix this real quick. Okay. What is going on here? So I'm looking at the disk here, and it looks like for whatever reason, you have indeed run out of space. Why is this only 11 gigs? Okay. So we're gonna do this again, aren't we? We have this set up. Edit is not available because checkpoints exist for this virtual machine. So I believe it means we have to. How do I edit my checkpoints? Okay, we're gonna stop you. Turn off. Yes, I know. No, I don't want that. I want to delete your checkpoints. Oh, checkpoints. Here we go. You know, I'll just turn them off. Problem solved. Oh. How do I do this? Automatic start, checkpoints. I want to. Grumble, grumble, grumble. I don't want a new checkpoint. I want you to just work. Okay. Edit is not available because checkpoints exist. So we are currently trying to give the VM more memory. Shut down the VM so the changes are merged. It's shut down. I just want to give you more space. Why are you making this difficult on me? You're shut down. Okay. Action. Shut down. Shut down. It's actually the test machine we're trying to work on. I know we can't see it. You can't see it on screen right now because the VM is actually on a laptop, which, of course, I don't have the ability to show you on stream because computers are hard. Okay. There we go. Finally. Okay. I have disabled checkpoints. It says the current machine has no checkpoints. Start. I would like you to start now. Yes. Once all of this is set up, we're going to be looking at reproducing some VirtualBox CVEs. It's just the nesting is complicated, but the setup is that I have a laptop which is running a Hyper-V VM, which is going to be running VirtualBox VMs in order to give us a test environment we can work on. Sounds exactly correct. It's just we're trying to install VMs and VMs right now, and not only is it slow, disk size is hard. So come on. And of course, it's not booting now because it's out of space. Like, I don't feel like I'm asking for that much. I just want to... Why is that? Checkpoints are disabled. I've... Oh. Ah, there we go. Finally. Next. Expand. So you were that big, you are now going to be a 40 gig hard drive. Good job. You are now working. So Amuga, yes, the outermost VM is Hyper-V, and that's because, in my experience, Hyper-V is probably the best performing hypervisor to use, at least for most desktop applications. So it's what I use for basically everything. Inside of that, we're going to be running VirtualBox, once I have all of this working. It's currently booting. As soon as it finishes booting, we should be able to set up our tunnel again, and we should get right back into installing our final inside the pile of nests VM. Come on. It's being very unhappy because most computers get very unhappy if you fill up their entire hard drive. I'm very curious why exactly the default is to only give it 11 gigs of hard drive space and then make it this difficult to change it. Sure, I guess that's one way of putting it, that it's being tested on Hyper-V. I'm not sure I'd word it exactly that way, but it's accurate at least. Okay, so all those can go away. Yes, connect. Come on. We're almost reconnected. This one, not this one. This one. Why are we going so slowly? I'm still sitting here looking at a blank screen while it's trying to work. So, Radu, that is actually what we spent most of the time setting up here, is setting up nested virtualization, because it does expose nested virtualization. It only does it on Intel, not AMD, but why are we dying? But it does expose the nested virtualization if you're running Intel and you change some settings under the hood. It doesn't do it by default, but it can. Because I don't think anything does it by default. So, come on. Hopefully I didn't screw this up too badly by running it out of space. Okay, you have apparently died on me. Let's try this again. I don't believe it does it by default. I know you can. At least the last time I tried to do it on VMware, it was kind of a pain to get enabled. Like you had to change a whole bunch of, you had to manually change config files, which I suppose is no different than running PowerShell to change things, but But yeah, at least my experience has been that if you want to do things on your host computer, I have generally found that Hyper-V has the best performance. Yeah, if Hyper-V actually worked in VMware, I guess they've got it enabled now. It's been a while since I've used VMware for anything like anything practical. At least the like workstation stuff. Because so I used to use Workstation for a long time. I stopped using it and switched to Hyper-V because it. I have found that if you are doing things on both your host and inside a guest at the same time, VMware tends to allocate CPU resources in ways that I don't like. Generally because it has no way of, like, VMware has its idea of what needs to happen inside the VMs, and then Windows has its ideas about what it needs to be doing, or whatever your host OS is, and those conflict with each other. What I've generally found is that by using Windows as your host and running Hyper-V as the virtualization platform, there just tends to be less resource contention. What that ends up meaning for me is that I can do things that are resource intensive and not kill everything, which at least I've found happens a lot with Hyper-V or with VMware. That when I was using VMware, if I pegged the CPU in a VM, my entire machine could become unresponsive. Whereas with Hyper-V, that doesn't really happen to me. I don't think I've ever seen that happen where, I have a VM at 100% CPU and it ends up just doing nothing for me. Okay, this is weird. So the VM is currently at 20% CPU usage and just showing me a blank screen and not connecting. This is not what I wanted to have working. Why are we not doing our forwarding properly? So it says that it should be connected. No. Because of how... So the reason that I found Hyper-V to be useful is because what it actually ends up doing is it makes the host OS one of its own guests. And it actually treats the host the same way it treats each of the guests as far as like resource contention works. What that means is that unless you enable the nested virtualization, you can't have any other virtualization software working. I haven't actually tried, like, I don't know if I can install VMware now that I've enabled the nested virtualization in this guest. It's possible, like I would kind of expect it to work, but I haven't tested it at all. So for whatever reason, I now cannot connect to the what is going to be the host for our test. Come on. Your CPU is now quiet. You should just be working. But your connections are not, and I don't know why. Can I SSH onto it here? So Amuga, that's exactly what we're going through here. So this is part 3 of a series of streams where we're essentially going through and looking at some existing recent CVEs in order to get an idea of what the attack surface of VirtualBox looks like. And so what that means is we're looking for things like, here are the different interfaces that most of the recent public vulnerabilities have used. In our case, when we looked through them all, we found a whole bunch of them use this. It's this Chrome or Chromium display thing. I believe all of the ones in the latest round of CVEs were in this Chromium software, which is how VirtualBox handles some of its 3D processing. Basically, it lets a guest pass like textures and things like that to the host to then use on the graphics card on the host. But there were also a few others that were a little bit older, using other of the what they call like the guest editions and things like that, where essentially a process running in the guest OS is able to talk directly to the host OS in order to do things like more efficiently allocate memory, move packets around for networking, things like that. So the idea here is that by looking at some of these existing bugs, it'll tell us where in the code those were, so that if we wanted to, we would have a better idea of where we should start looking if we were looking for our own new bugs in the software. Of course, when I have things like this happen where I can't even boot a VM, it gets pretty frustrating. But yay! So I am now rebooting the laptop that we were using for a test setup. And in the meantime, what race do we want to be? We're going to be a Dundan. Ooh, I get racial modifiers. So while we're waiting, I'm playing Tome. It's a relatively old roguelike. Should help us at least pass the time a little bit. Clearly, we're going to be a archer. Yes. We can pick a random god. No, sure. Sure. Yeah, we're just gonna let me die real quick here. Sure. I'm the illegitimate but acknowledged child of a serf. I was a well-liked child. I have brown eyes, straight black hair, and a dark complexion. Okay. Sorry, I finally got at least some output. Started no display. How do I get to the Control-Alt F2, which is either not getting forwarded properly or it's not not enabled at all. Okay. don't want a control delete. I want a... It's not what I want, but it's close. Not VirtualBox. So it looks like the GNOME desktop manager is failing to boot, is what I think I'm seeing. Okay, none of these are giving me what I want them to give me. And of course we're... we're not doing anything useful. Awesome. Okay, we're going to turn you off again. We want the enhanced session off. We're starting it. And I want to actually watch this thing boot. Full screen mode. Hello, Atari. Come on. So I've got the Ubuntu thing popping up, and it looks like it's booting. We got to the desktop manager again, and come on. I do wish I could actually show you what's going on here, but unfortunately, because of the setup, I can't. Which is, I have a slightly flickering screen. It has started GNOME Display Manager, dispatcher service, ... And then it looks like GNOME is failing to finish starting. So I think if I reset this, yes, reset it. There's some combination that I can do during the startup, isn't there? Come on. Yes. There we go. So I've successfully switched to one of the secondary consoles. And we failed back out. that's annoying. I'm trying to think of where to go from here, because I don't really want to rebuild this VM from scratch again. It's been kind of a pain if I have to get anywhere useful. Like, we're an hour and a half into trying to get this VM working, and it has now crapped out on me and is failing to boot. And of course, in order to expand the size on this, I had to actually kill all my snapshots for it. Funny how that works, isn't it? Okay, let's see how long this is going to take to get set back up. If it's going to be quick, let's get that done real quick. Okay, so it is not re-downloading things. That's good. If I can get this set up so that I can just quickly get this reset up and then just drop an SSH key in and have everything working again, that's probably my best bet, I think. That sounds like it's true. $83, 84, 90%. Who knows? Maybe at some point this VM will actually, this other VM, the one that I had been working on, is going to pop back up and start working again. We can only hope. Okay, before I do that, I need to PowerShell. We're going to, yes. We're going to come in here, we're going to run this. And this we are going to run is set VM processor, or set dash VM processor dash VM name test dash expose virtualization extensions true. That succeeded. We can now boot this thing, although before I boot it, I would like to expand this hard drive and make it not a piece of shit, because why on earth is the default 10 gigs? Like, that is crazy talk. I have plenty of storage. Give it to this VM. You know what? Let's see if we can get lucky here and actually mount our other VM while we're at it. Yeah, maybe this is going to work. Yes, that is the intended setup. And the entire reason for that stack is because we don't want our test machine host running bare metal. At least potentially we don't, because it is possible for us to get kernel panics in the host when we're messing around with some of these vulnerabilities, which it's really hard to do debugging if I have a VM running that will sometimes crash the host. And like doing that just causes all sorts of issues. By nesting things like this, I can do things like checkpointing the host and be able to revert to checkpoints and things like that. if it works. Right now, we're expanding the hard drive. I'm doing it first this time because, you know, doing it in the right order should hopefully work better. Okay, well, that is working. We're going to get back to this. So we have created a character. I have weapons. Let us arm ourselves. Stop it. I don't need you. Yes, go away. We're going to wear this. We will arm ourselves with arrows. So I have a short sword, a short bow, and some arrows. They do start me with gold. Can I pick up a lantern? Is this one of the versions where I need to go pick up a lantern? Oh, well, okay. And we have so far already died once during this rebuilding. Okay. Let's try this again. Yes, yes. I know. Stop it. I want to get me a brass lantern because lanterns are always better than torches. Sell my torches. Where? Sell my torches. Can I do that in this version? And let's get some flasks while we're at it. Okay, get a hat. Let's get me a hat. I'm gonna put that on. Oh, I get some boots too. Yeah, we're gonna wear some boots. Okay. Is this one of the versions with quests? Yes, this is one of the versions with quests. It's a 4, that's a 9. I appear to be dying here. There we go. Okay. Why are we just sitting here and applying changes? So I am successfully starting my and we're dead again. Maybe we're not gonna keep doing this right now, because this is not doing any better. Let's apparently been quite a while since I've played one of these. Given that doing the things that I normally would do have led to me dying twice very, very quickly. Why are you being awful? Like, I've been sitting here for the past, what's it been, 5 minutes now? 10 minutes? Watching. Oh, is it because you're still running? It sucks that there is no cancel here. So I have no way of actually knowing what's happening. Yeah, so Matt, what I'm going to end up doing is I'm just going to be using Ubuntu 18.04. There's no good reason for it being 18.04 over something else. It's just that is one of it's the first one that I downloaded. I don't think any of that's going to matter too much. The reason we're using a Ubuntu variant is because the guest editions, so VirtualBox gives you the guest editions, and you're actually able to recompile it and make changes. The easiest way to do that is on some flavor of Linux, and it looks like for Ubuntu, it's going to be very easy for us to, here's the source code for how the virtual devices are intended to be talked to. Let's change that to instead of doing the right thing to connect. So instead of doing the proper thing when we want to get into CR server dispatch get active uniform, we're going to send a set of arguments that cause this actual bug and hopefully cause our crash. If we can ever get anywhere. What do I actually do here? I really enjoy that, there's complaints about it and no actual fixes. Okay, we're rebooting yet again. Man, this has been quite the exciting stream where so much of it is having to happen off screen. It is very unfortunate that is the case, but I'm hopeful that we are not terribly far away from having this all set up and able to actually do things. Because ideally, we're not very far at all from that. If I can just figure out how to get all this shit working. Okay. I have rebooted because that fixes everything. This currently has 1 hard drive, not the 2 that I wanted. Its current size is 61 gigs. That sounds reasonable. So it looks like for whatever reason, I was triggering the exact same thing that commenter had seen, that I tried to add the hard drive from the first VM, because I was hopeful that by, if I add that hard drive to this VM, then I won't have to worry about re-downloading everything. It's already there. But it looks like, for whatever reason, that's failing. I don't have a good grasp on why that is, but I'd rather make some progress and have to watch downloading screens than making no progress and watching applying changes. So you're going to come up a little bit. We just had that nice little Ubuntu splash screen. It should be popping up now with me setting up some configuration options. Continue. 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 Okay, so this should be done in just a minute. At which point we're going to go back through our wacky tunnels. So for those of you who have joined from sometime in the past hour, what we're actually doing is, because routing is hard, especially routing to things on wireless networks, we're actually using SSH forwarding, or SSH port forwarding, to have the laptop that's sitting in front of me SSH out to an EC2 server, and then have that EC2 server have an exposed port that I can then connect back around to the VM I'm using as a test machine. Actually, now that I think about it, I don't actually know if I need to do that. I may be able to get away with just doing this. We shall find out soon. Come on, we're almost there. We're finishing up the applying changes portion of this, at which point we're going to drop an SSH key in here so we can actually SSH in, so that we can then have the remote SSH back through and have that work. Because the magic of SSH. Okay. And it looks like we're set up. At least the host is set up now. So VM is coming up. VM is coming up. VM is coming up. VM is coming up. I'm going to sudo advocate install open SSH server. Unpacking, 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 unpacking. Then we're going to do a SSH-keygen. SSH-keygen. Yes, 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 defaults. We're going to cat our key. To 50211 port that. Be free. Three 9250 Can you not get to the internet? Well, maybe this is going to be a little bit trickier than I was hoping it would be. Because if you can't get to the internet... No, you can get to the internet. Oh, nope, that is totally doing what I want. SSH authorize key. So Gerard, we're setting up SSH tunneling through EC2 so that I can connect to a test box so we can actually try and test some Virtualbox exploits. At least that's the hope here. Okay, so that worked. And now can I do... Does this do anything? It does not do anything. So I actually have to be on the local host. So -x localhost. That failed because yes. Okay. Yes. Before I get too far here, we're going to verify that we have plenty of hard drive space, though, because if this does not have all 60 gigs, I'm going to be very unhappy. Come on. I believe in you, little VM. I believe in... Nope. We're going to start by using gparted to make sure we have enough space this time. So for people who've joined in recently, we did all of this already once. However, in the process of installing the guest, we ran out of disk space on the guest host, and after expanding the hard drive, I couldn't boot still. So yay. Okay. So we are using both Hyper-V to run the main the main machine we're working on, as well as we're going to be using Virtualbox to actually test exploits. So the goal here is we're going to actually test some relatively recent Yes, we now have plenty of space. We're going to test some relatively recent Virtualbox CVEs because there were 22, 29, 20 some number of CVEs for Virtualbox at the beginning of this year on January 15th. And as far as I'm aware, there aren't public exploits for any of them. So we're going to take we're going to take a few of those, and hopefully we're going to turn them all into an exploit. Unfortunately, at this point, it looks like we're probably not going to get that done today. Okay, so we have this. I need to go get VirtualBox. I need downloads. Older builds 6060000000. Not this one, this one. Grab this. I have no plans to use Proxmox. We need to get... Oh, no, I probably still have the old one in here, don't I? Yes, I still have the old one right here. We're also going to grab you. I don't know. I've used Proxmox once or twice. I don't actually have much experience at all with it. Not sure what I would do with it. I think the plan right now is we're gonna continue this series because I've only got about another half hour I can keep going tonight. And I think we're gonna hopefully in that half hour get this set up for real setup this time with like an actual VM we can boot and connect to and everything. Sudo apt install / that. And then next week, we'll hopefully be able to actually go in and cause crashes, debug crashes, and hopefully get as far as like an arbitrary reader write. That'd be exciting. Maybe if we're doing particularly well, we can actually get all the way to like a full shell or something, but that's going to take quite a bit of work. I actually don't know how difficult it's going to be to do useful exploitation in VirtualBox. So I definitely like Windows 10. It's what I run bare metal on all of my computers. I think that's true. All of my desktops and laptops, I definitely do it for. I've got some special purpose servers that I run other things on. Like I've got a NAS that's running something else. I've got a bunch of EC2 instances that are running Ubuntu usually. But I like Windows 10 quite a bit. And WSL does almost everything you want it to do. It's not quite perfect, but at least what I've found is that for my use cases, which is CTFs and development, having a Windows 10 host with Hyper-V and WSL, and in Hyper-V at least one Ubuntu VM, has done absolutely everything that I want it to do, and it tends to do it much better than any other setup I've tried. So that's my take on it. As far as older PCs, I still like Windows 10, but I don't have a lot of experience trying to make Windows 10 work well on old hardware. I just know people tell me it does, but I don't like having good input as to how well it actually does. I mean, that is one of the benefits of running Windows on all my hosts, is that for the most part I can play any games I want that way. Yes, the latest WSL update, what was it? I just saw a post about it pretty recently that... what was the feature? one of the features blew me away. Oh, they finally fixed this. Right. They finally fixed the ability to access files properly from the Windows side in I'm sorry, to access the guest files, the WSL files from Windows. Like, they finally fixed getting that to work, which is great. If you notice, the default, we're operating out of the MNTC, and the new one is going to let you do more out of like your actual home directory, which is going to be exciting. It makes a few things work a little bit better, because they're setting up like this whole like they're setting up a daemon, this 9p thing, which you connect over like an internal socket and stuff happens, and it lets you read and write files. It'll be interesting. Some of the other stuff here that they added, I don't think I care much about. Like, they consolidated some things that I never use. But I have to say, I am quite happy with the WSL. We're so close. Okay. So we now have Virtualbox installed. This was the drawing of the setup we're currently using for anybody who's joined us since I drew it. We're going to new. I want to call this test, tab. I'm going to give it slightly more RAM. So I want us to be relatively usable. Yes. 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 Okay. We're going to give you 30 gigs, which is half of what our host has. Yeah, so I'm definitely not going to be going far enough to get very far. Like, I'm not going to be able to finish today. So next week, we'll definitely be continuing this and hopefully actually trying to land some of the vulnerabilities. I actually don't think I have the specs for my machines anywhere written up. One of the things that we've run into for a few different stream topics is that my actual desktop that I stream from is a AMD Ryzen processor. And it turns out, this is the second time now that I've had a stream topic that would have been better served if I was running Intel. Because Hyper-V doesn't support nested virtualization on AMD, apparently. Failed to open. Are we not finished yet? We haven't finished yet. Okay. We have 2 more minutes here. So we're going to wait just another minute here. Well, 97 seconds. Something like that. Because, you know, you can't install from a disk that's only half downloaded. Who would have thunk it? But yeah, I'm thinking we're gonna get this, but VMware cannot run with Hyper-V active. Must be disabled to go. Yes, kind of. I'm actually curious to see if you can get the nested virtualization working for the host. So, so right now, the deepest guest isn't set up. Should be there soon. Like, this ISO I'm currently downloading is going to be the deepest guest. But yes, we're doing X forwarding right now from the Hyper-V guest VM. through, it's going up to an EC2 server and then back down to my Streambox because routing is hard. But yeah, so the reason Hyper-V doesn't play well with other virtualization stuff is because it actually turns your host into another guest. It actually treats it exactly like it does all of the guests inside. What that means is that none of the virtualization stuff you'd like to use, like VMware or VirtualBox or anything else, all of those try and use the same virtualization extensions that they can't access because Hyper-V isn't passing them through. I haven't tested it, but I would be curious to see if you can actually pass them if you're running the right processor for it. Because I don't see why you couldn't. Other than there's probably some security risks associated with it, but I would think it's possible. I just haven't ever tried it. Okay, so we are starting. Sweet. You are working. You are going to go. And while you're going, yes, so it's slowing down your host because both the host and the guest have to compete for resources. Even though you've given the guest 2 gigs of RAM, they have to come from somewhere. And that means that that's 2 gigs of RAM that can't actively be used by your host computer. Or they have to swap it out, and there's a whole process for your computer can use more RAM than is actually installed by using what's called swapping, where it'll move some things out of RAM and onto disk, and things on disk back into RAM, and there's a whole bunch of work behind the scenes to make that all just work seamlessly. But what that means is that all the memory inside your VM ends up in that same process. It has to have memory someplace, and it has to come from someplace. So when you give 2 gigs of RAM to your guest, it's similar, but not exactly like if you just took a 2 gig chip, like one of the DIMM's chips, out of the computer. As far as the host is concerned, it's just not going to be able to use that. It's not the same because there's some other stuff that goes on that lets it still do some swapping, but it's at least reasonable to think of it that way. Install now. You'll never guess my password. We're going to go with a warrior this time. You know what else? We're actually going to read this time because maybe I haven't played this in long enough. So apparently now you have a PowerShell command to expose. Yes. Which is what. So if you look at the last stream I did, I unfortunately haven't done a what's it call it? Recap video for it yet. We tried to get that working on my streaming machine here so we could do all of this locally. but it turns out that you still need an Intel processor with VTD. The AMD equivalent is not good enough, which is why we have this whole convoluted setup, because I have a laptop that's Intel. I do not have a streaming setup that is Intel anymore. So, Middle Earth is vast and mysterious, full of dangers, but also full of rewards for the brave. New adventurers should know that pressing blah blah can switch between wilderness and a normal scale. Oh, we're not in the right window, are we? Yep. Introduction. I know all these things. Well, I don't know all these things clearly, or I would just win. So while we're waiting here, we're playing Tome. It's a relatively old roguelike that just happens to be in the Ubuntu repo, so it's very easy to get installed. Yeah, I don't want to read through all of this. Okay. Oh, it is in fact a quest. Okay. We're gonna... Can I sell you? Maybe I can just sell you. Want to auto... Do I not have auto pickup? Auto haggle, auto scum. Okay. Okay. The pet shop, interesting. We're going to buy a... We're buying those, we're killing our torches. Does nobody want this? Okay, we're just destroying it. I want to grab some armor while I'm at it, don't I? What can I actually afford? So let's get some boots. Boots and cats. Let's get a metal hat. I guess we can get some gloves too. Okay. Oh, I'm going to be not dumb this time, and we're also going to get the 2 potions of Cure Light Wounds that I can actually afford. Okay. Okay, and we are rearmed. We remember here, when we open this door, an alarm will go off, and many rogues will come to attack me. We are quaffing our potion. Okay, so this will give me 12 points of experience. One of my ancestors have been killed, and you have exterminated at least one of them. It's normally found on level 2, normal speed, 12 points, mortal. Got it. Okay. If I miss here, I die. Want to take bets on if I die? I died. Oh, I got 500 points this time. We're doing better, though. Same thing here. We're going with a Dunedin, classical, warrior. Sure, we'll be a swordmaster. Sure. This looks reasonable. Get rid of this. Destroy that. Yes, go away. Ooh, we do not have potions of cure light wounds in here. What does that just say? You can talk back with the Y key. Interesting. Interesting. So I have this. I'm playing a roguelike because we are currently installing Ubuntu over here, and I don't have... rather than just sitting here and doing nothing, I'm playing a roguelike. I'm playing Tome while we wait for Ubuntu to install. You know, like you do. To say, I've probably played quite a bit of this in very similar situations where, because it is in the Ubuntu repo, it is very easy to get on basically any computer. So, do recommend if you're looking to kill time. So I can't actually afford any of the potions here, and right, so they're not going to be in the bookstore, probably not in the magic shop. Oh, there might be some in the alchemy shop. Nope. There's a scroll of phase door. Is that going to help me? I don't think it's going to help me enough. Right, because the problem is those guys are just way too strong for me. Oh, let's go do this quest real quick. So, these mushrooms. What's this? The Barrow Downs. Frenzied barking. Is this the mushroom patch? This looks like a mushroom patch to me. We shall go kill insects. Okay. No, I wasn't supposed to kill you. Okay. So the answer here is we're not just playing a roguelike, we're playing a roguelike badly. So according to this, we have finished our installation, but our actual window here is not yet updated. So there's not much of a reason to use Hopper for disassembling it, given that we have source code. We're probably not going to need to do any reversing of it. We will be using GDB once this entire test setup is actually set up. It's going to take a little bit of time to get it all. Like, we're unfortunately taking much longer to get set up than I really wanted it to, because we need to get an environment set up so we can actually test these bugs. We need to be able to actually do things rather than just like look at them. Once they are, then we'll be able to trigger some of this stuff. We already have some ideas about what we want to trigger. Given that we have some CVEs, hopefully the 3D stuff we can actually get working. I'm a little skeptical now that it's going to work properly, but we'll see. I could have high hopes. We have this. I want to reset you now. Yes, reset. Show. Good. This time we have potions. On this time, we are buying nothing but potions. We shall do it this time. Miss, we miss, we miss, we wound, we miss. Ah! I had potions! Oh man. We disconnect the ISO. The unfortunate part here is that because we're doing all of this forwarding, it absolutely crawls. Like, everything is almost painfully slow. Every click. Every click takes seconds. We're actually getting relatively close to where I'd like to be, because we currently have the guest set up. Well, presumably it's mostly set up. Why are we not getting our window for it? No. There we go. This is the window we want. Click start. So booted, we just need to actually get this display working so we can see it. This is actually something that I've noticed with VirtualBox, even when I'm not doing the X forwarding, is that their display is really bad. Like I've definitely found in the past when I've done this preview window being much more consistent than the actual window it gives me trying to show me what's going on. Come on. We're so close to just being able to SSH in. Okay, you know what? I'm just going to close you for now. Why won't you show me the VM? Oh. You're so close to working for me, but you're not quite doing it. Like, we're so close to having this work. Power it off. You know what? Kill the X session. I just want it to go away. So we're SSH back in. Start. It's unhappy because we rebooted in a not nice way. Come on, we're getting close. Haha! We are finally logging into this guest. Okay, this is going to install, and then I think we'll have everything we need set up so we can actually just SSH directly into this rather than having to jump through all these hoops. Because trying to use this X forwarded interface the entire time is just not going to work. Like, this is unusably slow. Okay. 10-0-2-15. Unfortunately, I have to kill the connection to get this to work. Ooh. This stayed up. Interesting. 10-0-2-15. Please tell me this works. I would think this should work. I don't know why it wouldn't. Because this should be the machine which is hosting that VM. Oh, my host's being awful now. That's possible. Okay, let's grab this. Why aren't you an option? Should be an option. But why are you not? Okay, so we clearly don't have routing set up for this to work, right? Awesome. This is not a thing that just works? Even if it was host-only networking, we should still be able to talk to it. That's the entire point, is it's only able to talk to the host, and we are the host. Come on. Network. Network. Okay, well, at this point, I've been working on this for about 3 hours. It's set up, it's just for whatever reason, all of our forwarding isn't working quite right. So I think at this point, it's probably a good idea to call things for the day. Things are set up. Sometime in the next week, I need to figure out how to do forwarding a little bit better, so that we can actually do this in less hops and hopefully get a little bit better responsiveness. But at least we finally have a test setup set up, because this VM should be a good test case for what we want to do. Trying to throw some of these public CVEs for VirtualBox at its own host. So I think this is probably about the point we're going to end things today. Didn't quite go the way I was hoping. I was really hoping we'd be able to get this done in, 10, 15 minutes and be poking at things and like actually debugging crashes, but things sometimes don't work out the way I want them to. Next week, though, we're going to take a crack at it and see where things go. In addition to that, next week on Thursday, about the same time, 3 p.m. Eastern, I'll be doing a AMA on the Hack the Box Discord server, so that should hopefully be pretty interesting too. So with that said, hopefully everybody is having a good week. Hopefully this was at least somewhat interesting, even though it was mostly me bashing my head against the wall and trying to figure out why I can't get computers to work. But that is an important part of research, is if everything worked the first time, then I wouldn't actually be doing anything all that useful. Unfortunately, to be able to do interesting things frequently means that I have to sit here and stare at a computer and say, why will you not connect? So, in any case, thanks everybody for sticking around. Hopefully it was enjoyable. And I'm going to try, I don't know how soon they're going to go up, but I am going to try and get the recap video both for episode 2 and for this episode 3 up, hopefully relatively soon. I've had a little bit of busyness in my day job that's made it tricky to get everything sorted out for this. But those should hopefully go up soon, and I will see you all next week. Bye, everybody.